5 Reddit posts that solved unexplained mysteries.
Post-it notes from a stranger.
Okay.
In 2014, a Reddit user going by the name of R. Bradbury 1920 left a disturbing post on a subreddit titled r/legal advice. The experience described in the post shocked the other members of the forum and revealed a potentially deadly oversight. On the morning of April 15th, R. Bradbury awoke to find that not everything in his apartment was as it should be. A lone yellow post-it note sat on his desk, with a message scribbled on it in indecipherable writing. Unable to read the message, R. Bradbury figured he had tried to write a message to himself in a half-asleep state before going to bed. Unfortunately for him, this was just the beginning.
I think we've seen this. This is, yeah, it's like carbon monoxide, right?
On April 19th, he discovered another post-it note on the back of his desk chair, written in the same handwriting as the first. The message on this note was legible, quote, "Make sure you save your documents." Seeing no signs of a break-in, but afraid that his apartment was no longer safe, R. Bradbury set up a webcam to catch any movement. His fear was stoked even more on April 28th, when another post-it note was found, this one with a chilling statement, quote, "Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important that we do." He immediately checked the security camera footage, only to find that someone had erased the files from his computer. On May 1st, the mystery reached a chilling peak. The doors in his apartment had all been marked with a single post-it note, and each one was completely blank.
Okay.
Afraid and utterly baffled by what he was experiencing, R. Bradbury turned to the Reddit community for advice. Many of the replies addressed one of two ideas. They either warned R. Bradbury that their landlord was entering the apartment and leaving the notes for some reason, or suggested that he had some kind of mental illness that needed to be addressed immediately.
I'm starting to remember this one.
Amongst those replies was a comment that revealed the truth. The user K. Kakerlak, remembering that R. Bradbury had described his room as small and poorly ventilated, suggested that he test for high levels of carbon monoxide.
Yeah, we saw this.
When tested, R. Bradbury's bedroom had a CO level of 100 ppm.
Yeah.
Such a level was the equivalent of sleeping in the middle of Mexico City rush hour smog. Scientists warn that spending more than 15 minutes at that level of CO concentration is detrimental to a person's health. Spending all night in the room resulted in R. Bradbury having severe headaches, general malaise, and, most critically, memory loss. The user himself had left the notes, then forgotten each night as the carbon monoxide poisoning
Dude, that's
affected his
crazy,
brain.
man.
The advice of K. Kakerlak saved his life.
That's crazy. Okay.
Really
that
weird
was
things. In 2015, a Reddit user posted an intriguing question in the subreddit r/relationships. The post, titled "Really Weird Things Are Happening to Me," detailed a collection of strange occurrences plaguing the user's life. The reason behind these events would end up being more serious than anyone could imagine. It began as seemingly casual misunderstandings. The user's boyfriend would tell her that he was going to do something, and when she encountered him again, he would claim that he had never said such a thing. In one instance, the user claimed that she smelled her boyfriend cooking fish, only for him to serve something completely different at dinner.
What the fuck?
At first, the user thought that these instances were simply a case of mistaken memory, but as time passed, she began to suspect more nefarious motives. As the instances became more frequent, the user appealed to Reddit for help. Describing what was happening, she was afraid that her boyfriend was gaslighting her.
Okay.
A favorite tool of mental abusers, gaslighting is the act of dismissing and invalidating things that a person experienced, and insisting that what actually happened was completely different. Though gaslighting happens to many people, the Redditors providing feedback to the user believed that her boyfriend's reactions to her claims didn't seem like gaslighting. Still, the incidents of disagreements over reality began to occur more and more frequently. At one point, the user's boyfriend told her he was leaving to go to a bar as she entered the shower. When she finished, she asked her boyfriend why he was still there. He responded, quote, "Because I live here." And when she mentioned that he had said he
Because I fucking live here. Okay.
was going to a bar, he answered quizzically, "No." These events caused the user's relationship with her boyfriend to deteriorate, with her description of events becoming more and more unusual.
Okay. No. This is just classic woman shit, bro. This is just, you tell a woman something and it's they think it's the complete opposite, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Calm down. Calm down. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Okay? Hold on. Hold on. I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I only said it because I felt that Twitch chat would think it's funny. That's the only reason. Whoa! Whoa! Come on! Calm down. Calm down. Calm down.
The other Redditors keeping up to date with her posts believed that she was suffering from auditory hallucinations and suggested that she should check with a doctor. However, the user's fear of hospitals and being dismissed by doctors kept her from going.
Man, now I'm sorry. Now I feel bad.
Finally, the hammer fell. She complained to her boyfriend of a strong smell wafting across their apartment. Alarmed, the boyfriend immediately took her to the emergency room, where the cause of her distress was revealed. The user had a brain tumor.
What the fuck?
Though rare, tumors can cause auditory hallucinations, which increase in frequency as the tumor slowly grows. Tumors can also cause a condition known as phantasmia that results in phantom smells. The user's boyfriend likely saved her life by jumping into action when the phantasmia first presented.
Holy fuck.
However,
that's
no
crazy.
update was ever provided, so the woman's fate remains unknown.
Damn, that's crazy.
Increasingly hostile. In 2018, the subreddit r/relationship advice came alive with a post describing something out of a horror film. The poster, a user known as throwaway99D58AW, was living a nightmare and had turned to the Reddit community in desperation.
Okay.
Happily married for years to his wife, Throwaway had noticed a stark change in the woman he loved. Suddenly, his loving, caring wife became cold and disconnected from him and their children. It had started innocently enough. Their 12-year-old son fell while playing, and the wife did not check on him. When the poster questioned her on this, she claimed that he had taken care of their son as soon as he fell, so there was no need to interfere.
Poor kid.
A similarly eerie incident happened the next day. Their 9-year-old son asked her to pass the ketchup during a meal, and she referred to it as her ketchup and refused.
Damn!
The poster diffused the situation, but this was only the beginning.
Holy shit.
Over the next week,
That's toxic
Throwaway's
as
wife
fuck.
became increasingly distant and hostile, with her initial disdain turning to loathing. Concerned as he was for himself, the poster's fear mainly came from his wife's apparent hatred of their children. One day she'd been an affectionate mother, and the next, she could barely stand their presence. The trouble grew when the poster had talked to his wife's mother. His wife had always checked in on her mom and wanted to see her frequently, but now she barely responded to her mother's texts and made no effort to spend time with her. Deciding enough was enough, Throwaway confronted his wife about her behavior, not expecting the chaos his questions would unleash. When he sat his wife down and asked her what was happening, she became increasingly upset and aggressive. Refusing to see a psychologist, she threw a cup at him, screaming at him repeatedly, and left.
Shit, okay.
Though she briefly returned and acted normally, she disappeared the next day. This story produced a stampede of reactions from other users, with many of them insisting that he either divorce his wife, check her into a psych ward, or take his children away from the house to protect them. Hidden in the chaos of answers, however, was a response from a psych ward nurse. She informed the poster that the symptoms his wife was experiencing sounded like Capgras delusion, and he should call the police immediately. Throwaway took the nurse's advice and called the police. They found the woman sitting at a local park, and she struck several of them when they tried to approach her.
Damn.
Forced into a psych unit for her protection, the woman continued to be openly hostile. However, the answer would be found. The psychologist assigned to his wife informed the man that she was almost entirely sure, like the psych ward nurse, that his wife had Capgras delusion, a psychological disorder that makes people believe imposters have replaced their loved ones.
What the fuck?
The disorder
There's a fucking disorder that makes you think imposters have replaced your loved ones? Dude, that's so, like, specific.
causes distant reactions that often turn violent, precisely what Throwaway had described in the initial post. Though the poster provided an update that his wife would remain in the psych institute receiving treatment, the final resolution remains unknown.
Oh, damn. Can you recover from that? I've never heard of it before.
A familiar encounter.
Okay.
While recounting an experience they once had with otherworldly beings, an anonymous Reddit user claimed, quote, "Before I knew it, I was in a seemingly infinite emerald fractal forest. As I was examining the landscape around me, From out of the shadows of the trees and bushes stepped these little forest sprites.
Yeah, this is
They welcomed me with open arms.
Yeah, this is the
saying,
woods
"Why have you
rooms."
been away so long?" The feeling I got from these beings was that they were ancestral. They knew me, and I knew them, and I just hadn't seen them in ages. Eerie though it may seem at first glance, the poster's interactions with the spirits of the forest would help lead to a fascinating discovery.
Okay.
Though it undoubtedly felt real at the time, the poster's encounter with oddly familiar forest sprites did not actually happen. Instead, it was the consequence of the poster taking a sizable dose of DMT, which causes users to have vivid and intense visions that are often indistinguishable from reality. Users can distinguish fact from fiction only after the substance wears off, though the things they see often alter their perception of the real world. Reddit features thousands of testimonies of DMT experiences, and recently, scientists have discovered an intriguing trend across the stories. Roughly 7% of DMT users feel a sense of familiarity with the entities they encounter.
So you could just get this? Oh, it's illegal in some countries. Oh, okay. I've never heard of it. No, I'm serious. I've never heard of it. I don't know. DMT is the stuff Joe Rogan always goes on about. I don't really watch Joe Rogan.
Encountering some sort of cosmic or mythical entity during a DMT experience is not rare. In fact, some scientists think that the more vivid stories of alien abduction may come from intense psychedelic experiences, with the users so altered by the experience that they can't separate the hallucinations from their memory of reality. However, a handful of people react to the entities in their visions with companionship or comfort. They believe they know the entities, and had simply forgotten them until that moment. Scientists have studied and categorized roughly 3,300 posts from the last 10 years to better understand this phenomenon.
Okay.
Though the study could not pinpoint why this familiarity occurs, one thing appears to be certain. DMT can fabricate memories in the brain's medial temporal lobe. This finding challenges what scientists have thought they know about the construction of human memories, and further study of Reddit and other forums may continue to illuminate the nuances of the effects of DMT. Rage.
Dude, the brain is crazy, right? That's just a chemical reaction. What if you had the right chemical and it like activated a part of your brain or some shit and it gave you like a superpower? Wouldn't that be awesome?
It started as a harmless joke. While rummaging through his medicine cabinet, a man found an unused pregnancy test that his ex-girlfriend had accidentally left behind. Deciding to have a little fun, he urinated on the test.
Okay. Just have a little fun. Dude. I mean, look, man. That's a little fun. When's pregnant Zams?
After the appropriate amount of waiting, he received life-changing news. The test was positive.
Okay.
As it turns out, the completely unexpected test result
Okay.
indicated something more
I mean,
sinister.
it's just a false positive, bro. That's it.
Threatening condition. Understandably baffled, though amused by the pregnancy test result.
Just mail. Hold on, dude. Hold on. Just mail me going through the medicine cabinet when suddenly I find an unused pregnancy test that my ex-girlfriend must have left. For shits and giggles, I use it a little later. The bottom, I'm pregnant.
Understandably baffled, though amused by the pregnancy test result, the man created a comic of the event and posted it to Reddit.
I mean, it's a
Almost immediately,
good comic.
other users began telling him to see an oncologist.
Okay.
The man initially assumed that this was a ridiculous assumption, but as more and more users reached the same conclusion, he decided to check with the doctor to be safe.
Yo, imagine the doctor consultation. You go in there and you're like, yeah, what's going on? And the guy has to say, yeah, so I like peed on this pregnancy test and it said I was pregnant. I want to be a fly on the wall during that conversation just to hear the interaction.
This choice saved his life. A tiny tumor was found on one of his testicles.
What the fuck?
Some forms of testicular cancer produce beta-chorionic gonadotropin,
Holy shit!
known more commonly as beta-HCG. This same chemical is produced by the placenta as it develops during pregnancy, and it is one of the main chemicals detected by most pregnancy tests. The 1,300 Reddit users who informed the man to go to the hospital were not simply trolling him. They were trying to save his life. Shocking though the positive result certainly was, It was far less scary than what would have happened if
Holy
the man's
fuck.
cancer had continued to go unnoticed.
Damn, this was good. I'm about to go get a pregnancy test, dude.